Hey, this Omar just on here real quick, recapping the Chargers versus the Titans, and it was a different type of game. Definitely not the game I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be a little more scoring. Both of the defenses they played well, or especially well enough to win, and it was just the Titans they gave this dude on the screen a little bit too much time to kind of make a clutch play, which he been doing past few weeks. He been playing real good. Coaching staff, you ain't gonna try to go in too hard, but offensively, it's still kind of it got a lot to be desired, but defense wise, past 2 weeks, they've they've actually overplayed, or been better than expected. Last week I thought the Dolphins was gonna throw it all over them and run it down their throat. None of that happened. They defense stepped up tremendously, and this week, you know, uh I thought that Henry was just gonna run wild, and their defense stood tall. You know what I'm saying? Staley's finally putting some good game plans together, and we kind of seeing a little bit of his imprint in the game. Him and the DC, they've been putting some good plans together these past few weeks, ever since the Oakland game. So you looking at the game overall, third down conversions, it was 3 of 11 for Tennessee and 4 13. Neither of them kind of performed well on third down. Chargers, they go for it on fourth down. On the high side as far as teams in the league, they was 2 for 2. Total yards, it was 284 for the Titans and 365 for the Chargers. Turnovers, it was 2 picks by Justin Herbert, and Titans only had one. Time possession was almost a wash. Tennessee had it for 30 minutes, and Chargers had it for 29. So now you go to the teams, team statistical wise. Tannehill, he got hurt. I thought it was a significant injury, but he came back in the game. They gave Malik Willis some burn, and he was 3 for 4 for 20 yards, and Tannehill was 15 to 22 for 168, and he got sacked 4 times, had a passer rating of 71. Henry had 100 yards and 1 touchdown. I thought it was going to be more, but that was good as well, especially for them to, like, it was kind of one of them nip and tucks type of game. So 104 on a bad run defense is a win. You get what I'm saying? Even though he had 5 yards of carry, it was still, it could have been worse. You know what I'm saying? As a team, they ran for 127, and yeah, that was good. But they didn't complement that with no good passing game. Derrick Henry was a leading receiver with 4 for 59, which that 37-yarder was his longest. The tight end, he had 4 54. He had a bunch of mismatches that they didn't take advantage of. And Hooper, who sometimes they also neglect, he only had 2 for 33. Um, you look at their defense. They had 3 sacks, and I'm trying to see who had it. DeMarcus Walker, he had 2, and Jeffrey Simmons, the All Pro, he had 1. QB hits. They had 8. So they was hitting. They was kind of getting to Herbert just a split second too late. But they was getting the hits and whatnot, but it wasn't enough as far as the passing game to complement the running game for Tennessee. And so they slumping right now. And, they gonna have to get it together because Jacksonville is definitely on their line. And they coming up strong to where that game, that next game they play is probably gonna be for the division. What is looking like it, you know what I'm saying? Because I think what they like a game ahead of them and whatnot. With I think Jacksonville won the first game, so if they tied up, Jacksonville going to slide up, and then that game for at the end is going to be for all the marbles. Now Justin Herbert, he came out there. He had 2 picks. He ain't had no touchdown passes. He was 28 of 42, 313. I had a 68 rating because he ain't had no touchdown. So it's like one of the games this year that you're gonna find that he didn't even have a touchdown pass, and that the Chargers actually win. Running the ball, they had 74 yards running the ball. Is okay. You feel me? Like with them, it's like if you can get 70 to 100, that's a positive day for them. The running backs was the ones that scored the touchdowns this week. Throwing the ball, Allen had 8 for 86 on 9 targets. Williams had 8 targets, caught 4 for 67. And Palmer had 5 targets, caught 5 for 49. Everett had 5 targets, caught 4 for 42. And then Bartman, who came back from injury reserve, he had 3 targets, caught 3 for 35. Sacks, they had 4 sacks. And if I ain't mistaken, dude, where the dude at? I'm looking for him. Well, nah, they had sacks by key contributor Tranquil. He had a monster game. He had 10 tackles, had chimed in with a sack. Van Noy had another sack. And then you had Gonziano and Rump. I'm looking for another game that Derwin James and Bosa didn't play. So this is giving them like some major confidence on some next level shit. Like this is a little bit of the defense that people thought they was gonna see earlier in the year. Aside from the only game I say that was a good defensive performance was the Broncos game, but that was like when the Broncos was slumping, and you know they both defensively was out there, and their offense really didn't do too much. But as far as Tennessee, I'm not gonna talk their offense up like they just high powered, but the fact that Tennessee didn't exploit the awful run defense, but to a certain extent, it says a lot that like I said, the schemes that the defense have been calling as far as from week to week situationally, they wasn't too good on third down. So that's situational football that that's one thing everybody's been getting on Staley about that he hasn't been good at. And so the fact that they've been calling plays, and then some of it got to do with the defensive calls as well as the execution on Tennessee offense. They didn't execute. So now they find themselves behind the sticks or whatever. But they did enough. They scored they scored and they scored the touchdown. And with that limited amount of time, they thought, all right, push gonna show, we go into overtime and then see what happens. And the fact that Charles was able to march the field with that limited amount of time, and Herbert made that clutch ass throw, at the waning seconds of the fourth quarter to set the kicker up to get the game winning kick is amazing. He's all, like I said, he like this week wasn't his best weeks. Like he gets the yards every week, You know what I'm saying? But as far as like his imprint on the game, as far as touchdowns, he didn't do. But he still made an imprint in the game as far as like that throw. Like people will remember like that's a throw that possibly could have, positioned the Chargers to make the playoffs and Tennessee not to make the playoffs. And so that was another great team win, a solid defensive win. And they got now a couple of winnable games. They find themselves in the sixth spot, and right now the playoffs started today. They would have they'll play the Bengals, and Bengals right now is smoking hot with a phenomenal defense, and so that would be a good matchup right there. You know what I'm saying? Right now a lot of people probably tilted more to the Bengals, but you never know which Chargers team show up. If it's one of the hot teams where they turn that game to a scoring matchup, where it's like, the last person who has the ball wins the game. It could be one of those games, or it could be a game where Cincinnati just shows that they outclass the Chargers, and then they just um yeah, they just slaughtered them, kind of like what they did to the Bucks yesterday, where at first the Bucks looked like it was gonna be a good game. It was 17-0, then the Bengals scored a 3 at the end of the half, and then next thing the Bengals just cut that shit on and whatever. They one of them type of team. Or it could be a scenario where Chargers still move up to the fifth spot, and then they still could very well face the same team again. But next time it'll be in Tennessee, or they play Jacksonville, get a rematch with them from the week 3 beatdown that they received. So Chargers kind of getting some wins on the sneak tip. People might not be paying attention to them, but they doing their thing. And yeah, you give props to the coaching staff. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's not yet a A+ performance, but as far as the defense, you giving them all the credit in the world, especially from how they've been looking, how they've been getting dragged up into that Oakland game. Now it's like now you finally see a pulse on that side of the ball, and especially for them having a lot of their key people that is like James, and Bosa that's hurt, and so everybody else is kind of stepping their play up. You got to give them much props all the way around the board. So yeah, good win, good solid win. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. All right, thanks for listening.